Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. We're here today talking to a friend of my brother's wife. A small world story of another person who has Crohn's. Stephany Clark, thanks for coming. I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know if you could say you ever thought you'd be on a podcast or something talking about dealing with your bowel issues, but
Never would have guessed.
Yeah, I'm assuming this was kind of something random that showed up. Yeah, just like Crohn's did. So tell me a little bit about, just briefly, we don't have to, we'll get into anything as it shows up, but kind of what your progression was from dealing with your stomach issues, what was going on in your world, to when you were diagnosed.
Well, I have always had what I call my stomach problems. It's mainly a lot of stomach pain.
Yeah.
It really started showing up when I moved to Kansas 7 years ago. And I think maybe part of that was
Where'd you move from?
Iowa,
Okay.
where I lived my whole life.
Okay.
So moved to Kansas, to middle of nowhere, Great Bend, don't know anyone, start a new job, 22 years old, and just I think a lot of that played into my symptoms getting worse.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff I was experiencing before was stomach pain, random diarrhea, and then chronic constipation.
Yeah.
But I never was able to relate any of that stuff together.
It was all random.
It was all random.
You couldn't tell if some food caused it, if it was because you moved here and the water was different. You couldn't tell anything. Did you try diets and
I did. I did one extreme diet. I think it's called the South Beach diet, where you take everything out of your diet and then you slowly start introducing, like you start basically just eating fruits and vegetables and slowly start introducing things back into your diet. And that was supposed to be a 21-day program, and I gave up on day 10.
Did your stomach issues get better or worse being on that, or was it just annoying doing the diet?
It was annoying doing the diet, and I had constipation throughout the whole thing, so it didn't really help anything.
Okay. All right, so you tried a couple of diets. What were some of the other issues that were going on before you started going to the doctor and they were like, well, maybe this is something more. Let's start doing some tests.
Well, it never really happened like that for me. I had stomach pains that would come and go. And
like side pains, cramping.
It's like sharp pains
that would
like pulse. And so it would like be there and then go away, and then be there and then go away. And that would last maybe a day or longer.
Yeah.
I don't know what I could have done to make them start or go away.
Yeah.
My stomach would make loud noises after I would eat food. Okay. It wasn't like when I was hungry. It was this
digestion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would eat a banana and my stomach would go crazy over that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the stuff I was experiencing. I would go to doctors and say, think something's wrong. I think I might have irritable bowel syndrome. And I think that kind of clouded their judgment.
Were you looking it up?
Oh, yeah. I was Googling.
So you were trying to put your symptoms in and figure out kind of where you were on that spectrum. And IBS, IBD is somewhere where you kind of found yourself?
Yeah, it was more IBS than IBD that I found. I don't know if because you see those commercials, and I'm like, maybe I have that. So I started Googling that, and I'm like, yeah, that fits. So when I would go to doctors, oh, you need to eat more fiber. Oh, you need to do this. Turns out fiber is not what I need.
Isn't that amazing?
But
it's amazing.
So it didn't end up like a progression, like, oh, let's do different tests.
Yeah.
It was, you're in the hospital because I had a fever for a whole week and it wasn't going away.
Yeah.
So that's how.
And then while you were in the hospital, one of those times, how and when did they say you have Crohn's? What happened to say you've got Crohn's disease?
So that hospital visit was when, well, it was my first stay at a hospital for Crohn's, and that's when I got diagnosed.
Okay.
But that week before more like the month before I got diagnosed, I was having horrible back pain, lower back pain, and stomach pain. Yeah. I had just started a new job. I'm like, oh, these seats at my new job are really uncomfortable. Like, they're really hurting my back. And, I just probably need to get some new shoes. I'm on my feet on different floor now. Like, maybe I need to get better shoes. That's why my back hurts, right?
Yeah.
And
you need a lumbar pillow. That'll do it.
Exactly. But, like, I would lay down and the pain wouldn't go away. And then a fever developed. And I knew something was wrong then. But I got a fever on a Thursday, and that weekend we were going on a float trip that I was going to. Yeah. So we went to Missouri and did a float trip, and I was miserable that whole weekend. Popping Tylenol, ibuprofen, and going to bed early.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
Put yourself through hell.
Yeah. But
all because you didn't want to cancel.
I didn't want to say.
You want to be healthy one more weekend.
Exactly. But I probably should have went to the doctor then.
Yeah.
So on Monday when we came back, I had just moved to Wichita as well as started my new job. So I hadn't established a new doctor here yet.
Okay.
So when I called, I was told to go to urgent care. And when I went to urgent care, this lady did not touch me. She came in. She saw that I came in for back pain and stomach pain. She immediately told me that I have a UTI and that I was just constipated. And I needed to eat more fiber and take antibiotics for the UTI. And I said, I don't think that's wrong with me.
Oh, she went to school for that diagnosis.
And my UTIs don't start off with a fever.
Yeah.
They start off with all the other symptoms.
Right.
Frequent urination and pain, and I didn't have any of that.
Didn't come with this crap.
Right. And so I asked her to get a second opinion. So she left the room and came back 10 minutes later. Yeah, the other doctor agreed with me. All right, well, I'm not getting any help here. So I left. And that was on a Monday. On Thursday, my fever hadn't gone away, and it was now 102. And I called the doctor's office bawling. Something is wrong with me. Someone needs to see me. I went to urgent care like you told me to, and this is not right. Yeah. So finally, one of the doctors did get me in. I had 102 temperature. I was the winner that day. And she felt around my stomach, and it was painful. And she... Just to the touch.
Yeah.
And she's like, you need to go and get a CT done of your stomach. And I want these results right away.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's something wrong.
Okay.
So I went. I had to drink some chalky stuff.
Oh, barium.
Yes.
Barium's disgusting. Even with the flavors.
It wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I mean, I was sick. I wanted to get better.
How many years ago was this?
3. Almost 3.
Okay, I guess I haven't done a upper GI in probably longer than that. Okay. So
they did the scan, and she calls back immediately and was like, you need to go check yourself into the hospital. We have a surgeon lined up for you. You have an abscess and inflammation of your small intestine at your ileum. Mm-hmm. So my boyfriend, who's now my husband, we got all my stuff together. He took me to the hospital, and I stayed there for 3 days. They watched me.
How long were you guys dating?
I think 3 years at that point.
Okay.
And
he was kind of pot committed a little bit at the time.
Yeah.
All right.
So I had moved in with him, so he had to take care of me, right?
Yeah. It's no longer Dad's problem. That's right. That's awesome.
So, yeah, go to the hospital and meet the surgeon. They're basically just brought me in there just in case. I think they were planning on removing part of my intestine, but I got better. My fever went away. I think they did a colonoscopy, and that's where I got my GI doctor and diagnosed with Crohn's disease in my small intestine.
And they didn't remove anything?
They didn't.
They probably put you on antibiotics and some other things that kind of helped settle it down. And you just reacted well to all of that.
I did, and I was there for 3 days.
Okay. Did you lose a lot of weight in that period of time? Were you just...
I lost 10 pounds.
In those 3 days?
Yeah. And
leading up
since
to it or
that, when I had from the start of my fever. Okay. So within a week to 10 days, I was probably losing a pound a day.
Have you ever, so since you got out of there, were diagnosed with Crohn's, were you thrown on, what medications were you put on? What did that lead to in regards to doctor recommendations and treatments?
I got put on prednisone, a steroid, and Pentasa,
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which my liver enzymes did not agree with and went way, way up. So they took me off of that right away.
Did you notice it first in your symptoms and you hollered at them, or was it your first set of blood work?
It was my first set of blood work.
Yeah.
And the prednisone, when I got back from the hospital, it probably was maybe 3 days later, and my pain was all back again. So they had to up the dosage.
Okay.
They wanted me to slowly get off of that, so then I could be put on Humira.
Okay.
And I got diagnosed the end of August, and in September I started Humira.
Okay. Oh wow.
But I was on prednisone for about, I want to say 6 months. To 9 months maybe.
While you were on Humira, so
I started Humira.
You were on prednisone, then they started phasing you off of that. Mm-hmm. But in that period, you got put on Humira as you kind of slowly got off.
Yes.
Prednisone.
And then I developed a different pain, and so I got put on budesonide.
For what? Did they diagnose with anything, or just throw budesonide?
They didn't diagnose with anything because they.
What was the pain like? Can you tell me?
Yes.
Okay.
It was when I went to make a bowel movement, right before it would exit, there was extreme pain.
Yeah.
And they tried to tell me it was my hemorrhoids, and I was like, no, I know what that pain is like. This is right before.
Don't you hate that?
Yes. They're like, are you sure it's not this? I'm pretty sure.
Thanks for bringing that part up, too. I'm pretty darn familiar with that one. Mm-hmm. This is something else. Otherwise, I wouldn't be concerned.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be complaining about this, but this is also happening.
Right.
So, yeah, I got put on, what's it called again? Budesonide.
Oh, yeah.
And... that pain went away and has never came back.
Oh.
So I don't know what that was.
Awesome. So what do you take regular now? Are you on Humira still?
I'm just on Humira. And then I get put on budesonide whenever I have a flare-up. So my last flare-up was 6 months ago, and I was on that for 3 months with my Humira.
Wow. How do you feel day to day? All right, for the most part? How's it kind of come and go normal right now?
Yeah, I think overall I'm feeling really good. There's pain, like random. I call it my funny feeling because I don't know how to describe it. Yeah. It's just it's not sharp. It's not, I can't locate it. It's just something that's there. Almost like you're nauseous all the time, but it's just a funny feeling.
Yeah.
So I'll get that some days. And that will be like, oh, I should probably avoid certain foods that day.
Is that usually in the morning, or is it all day, or is it?
It's usually all day.
Okay. So how are, outside of that stuff, tell me now how, just in the day-to-day, how having to deal with going to, how is your, when you go to the restroom, how often are you going every day? About
1 to 2 times a day.
Oh, okay. Can you control it? Can you, like, when you have to go, do you have to run to the bathroom?
No, I mainly go in the mornings. It's only if I eat something that's on my shit list.
Yeah.
Then it's not something like...
You have a different shit list than most people's shit list. Okay.
So So some people might describe Crohn's as, well, you eat something and then immediately have to go to the bathroom. Well, I'm not necessarily like that. Sometimes maybe I'm like that, but most of the time it's you eat something and then like 1 hour, maybe 2, and then it's like, oh man, I need to go.
Yeah. Are there any? Is there any one thing or two things that just drive you nuts that you eat that just set your system off? You stay away from them all the time. Like, I can't have onions. Doesn't matter. I can, if you put onion powder in something, I'm fine. If you decide to blend up a whole bunch of onions and throw it in your salsa but not have chunks of onions, and I eat that and I'm surprised by it the next day or within 3 hours, I mean, it just rocks my world. I can't do it. I can't have Popeye's chicken. Whatever it is about the fryer they use, how they do it, I don't know, but I can't the second I have it. And then there's just a handful of other things. But is there anything like that?
Panera Bread, Jimmy John's.
Everything? All of it?
Yeah, their bagels, this bread that they use on their sandwiches.
Shame on you, Panera Bread.
I know, and Jimmy John's bread. And
But you can eat bread from the store. You can eat a sandwich.
Correct. I think it must be their yeast content in the bread. That's what my doctors and I think it is. It must have higher yeast in it. But I loved Panera and I loved Jimmy John's. And 6 months ago, my flare-up happened because I ate Panera. And I didn't realize.
It kind of kicked it off.
Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't an immediate thing. It was, all right, let me go to I haven't had breakfast. I'm going to stop at Panera and get a bagel real quick. Yeah. Then afterwards, my stomach kind of doesn't feel great, whatever. And I just kept doing that. I mean, not that I was eating Panera every day, but it just slowly built up. And then I had Panera for lunch. And then at like 7 o'clock that night, I was taking my dog on a walk. And I had extreme cramping. Like, I had to stop walking him and stand there. And he's, like, tugging me, like, come on, Mom. Like, let's go. And I'm like, you got to hold on a second. And I honestly didn't think I was going to make it home. And I finally got home, and I'm on the bathroom floor with these extreme cramps that are coming and going. And then finally diarrhea the rest of the night. And then I was fine the next day.
So one of the coolest and worst things about this disease is that and this is most chronic illness, but it's incredibly unique to each individual. And so just the fact, can you eat bagels from like Dillon's, from the grocery store?
I've had bagels for breakfast a couple days ago that I bought at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And that was completely fine.
So there's probably somebody out there who it's the exact opposite. It's the bagels from the grocery store or wherever it might be that sets them off, and not Panera. So just for some reason, very unique to you is that. And I think that just blows my mind. It really does. We all have the same symptoms in one form or another. Like, maybe I don't have all the ones that you have, or you don't have all the ones that I have. But we've all got a bunch of symptoms that we're dealing with, but what's causing them is completely different for everybody. And how you react to them, how your body handles them is totally different. And like, I'm a big advocate in tracking and understanding kind of what you eat, how what you're eating is affecting you, not like getting off everything, because I tried and got on like tons of diets. I tried as many as they'd throw at me. You try anything to get out of that pain. If that pain sticks around for a handful of weeks straight and you're like, this is brutal, this is absolutely unbearable, you'll try anything. And you start, you try this diet or that diet or this juice or whatever it may be, and you just begin to stomp down and realize every person is so different. This diet might work, but there's things about every diet that almost sets you off, no matter kind of what you try. So everybody's kind of on their own and navigating and figuring out what it is and how it. And even when you think you have it pinpointed, you might have a flare-up, even though you're doing everything consistent the way you ought.
Yeah, so like 6 months ago, I knew something was happening. Like, it was right around Thanksgiving. I just felt different in my body. And I knew a flare-up was going to happen. And I was doing really good to myself. I took out alcohol. I avoided, because before that I just thought, oh, it's greasy food, and maybe sometimes spicy food. And so I took that out, and then I had Panera, and boom, that's what made that happen.
Does it frustrate you when you're like, you kind of feel it's your fault? Like, not that it's your fault you had a flare up. What I'm saying is that you almost go, you have a hard time thinking that you eating Panera wasn't what instigated the whole thing, but at the same time you have Crohn's. And Crohn's is going to move and react the way that it does. Whether it was the Panera that kind of began to do it or not, regardless, those things are going to begin to happen, or they tend to happen even when we're doing things right.
What frustrated me is I knew something was going to happen, and I tried to prevent it.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
And you're just kind of like, screw it, I'm having a frickin' Panera bagel.
Well, I didn't know that was going to be that reaction, because, and I think maybe that was, okay, I should have listened to my body a little bit more. When I ate that first bagel and my stomach was like, ugh, I should have been, all right, that's a sign, don't eat those anymore.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard. It's easier when you look back on it. Like, when I got diagnosed with Crohn's, I looked back on my life for the past 5 years before that, and I'm like, oh, that time makes sense now. Oh, and this makes sense now. And you don't, when you're living today, you don't realize tomorrow that what you ate is going to cause a problem.
Right. Until you're able to have a little hindsight and get a track record that you're able to follow, it's hard to really pinpoint.
And it's hard to track what you eat. I tried that. I downloaded some apps to help me, and it takes a lot of patience and just doing it, and
still feeling like crap while you do it.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna do this all right, and it's gonna help, and you just do it all right.
Well, I get in modes like that where I'm like, I'm gonna be so healthy now, and I'm gonna track everything, and then you do that for a couple weeks, and you're like, oh, I'm good, and then I stop doing it.
Yeah, it works so well, you stop doing it. That's funny. So what's the worst part about having Crohn's for you? What is the hardest part about it? What do you despise about dealing with it?
Thinking about it every single day. There's not a day that I don't think about it.
It's constantly on your mind. What do you think when when you say that? What do you think about in regards to having Crohn's?
Can I go and eat this today? How am I feeling? Can I go and have my favorite pad thai dish? Yeah. Is that going to cause problems later? Or just having a random pain. Like, right before I came here, I was having cramping, and I'm like, what's going on? Why are we cramping right now? Yeah. And so anything that my body is doing, I'm like, is this Crohn's related, or is this just something else?
Yeah. Have you had any things show up randomly in addition to Crohn's stuff that is kind of unrelated but another ailment of some kind?
Well, I have thalassemia, which is a blood disorder that basically just causes me to be anemic all the time. So I'm tired a lot from that. Plus Crohn's, which is a chronic illness that makes you tired and causes you to have anemia. So I'm constantly tired, I feel like.
A major side effect of Crohn's is chronic fatigue. Plus you got it beaten up on you on the blood side. And then you're going to work every day, working with other normal people who have no problems, trying to keep up with them, look just like them, act like just like them. Does that weigh on you, or do you love the challenge? Do you love kind of rocking it while you're carrying all that? Because I kind of take pride in my own life and kind of being awesome and them thinking I'm normal, and through the grapevine finding out he's got Crohn's too. He's got an ostomy. What? No. Like I just kind of I feel like that's like a to him.
I'm a very busy person. Yeah. I put a lot on my plate, and so not that I'm like, oh, I'm so awesome, I can do all this stuff. I just want to do all this stuff, and I am doing all this stuff, plus having a chronic illness. But that's just my personality. I want to be busy. I want to be involved. I want to have stuff to do.
I bet that I'm very much the same way, and I think that helps me be able to kind of overcome a lot of the stuff I might be dealing with. It gives me motivation to get up when I don't want to. Just having something to get to, someone who needs me, a project that needs done, something where I can bring value. It's a whole lot easier for me to go, screw my stomach.
Right.
Or that thought that I think this day's going to end up this way. It's a whole lot easier to kind of just go, I don't have time to think about that. I gotta go do this. I gotta do that. Man. So how, with you guys going, you and your husband, out to eat, going to family get-togethers, things like that, how often, or have you rarely ever canceled last minute, dealt with having to bail somewhere when you were out somewhere? Has that ever happened? Do you guys have you had to do that very often, or no?
I don't think that happens to me a whole lot. I have had times, when I first got diagnosed, we got invited to go to a football game, and I was not feeling well. And I told John, I cannot go. You can go, obviously. And he did, and I was just at home that weekend. My sister got married a year ago, and we went out to dinner, and it was just a whole day of eating and drinking, and that night I had really, really bad stomach pain, and I had to say to her, I am so sorry, but I need to leave right now.
Yeah.
I can't stay here any longer.
Yeah. I hate doing that. Like a lot. What about when you were prepping for your marathon and doing all that? The 5K, what was it?
I did a half marathon.
Half marathon, okay. So in prepping for that, as it came close to the day you were doing it, like with me, with my Crohn's, it just seems that as I get close to an event, even if it's doing a podcast, my system just starts freaking out. And I just got to go, screw it. Don't listen to it. It's dumb. Great. It's going to happen. That's just the way that it is. Get over it. And I just got to show up. But like helping someone move, some big project my wife and I are going to do at home, running a marathon. Did you begin to start feeling symptoms or anything like that as you were leading up to that, or did you?
I didn't have any symptoms leading up to that. The day of the race, I fainted. I almost fainted.
Like at home or at the race, or where?
So we went to.
Tell me you were there.
It was in the lobby.
We went to Austin, Texas for the half marathon. and it happened in the lobby. I just got really, I don't know, really nervous. I got really lightheaded. My vision blurred. I was super white and almost fainted. Yes. It made me need to go to the bathroom.
You did?
Oh yeah. And I went to the bathroom and took care of my business, and I don't know what it was. Because I woke up that morning and I had water, I had a banana, I had a granola bar. I was doing all my prep stuff that I was planned on doing. So yeah. I mean, I had salt, whatever. So I was very close to fainting. That happened, and I just moved on. And then I went and did my half marathon. And
how long before the marathon was it?
Maybe 2 hours.
Okay, so you had time to get your mind right.
Yes. But I had trained since the beginning of December. I'm not going to...
Are you training for anything now that that's done?
Not currently.
Anything else you're working on that's that related that you're training for? Anything? Or are you just cool now that you got that done? You're just taking it easy and...
I'm growing a baby.
That part of it. So how is that in regards to dealing with this? Can you tell?
So one thing that was a little disappointing is back in September, I had told I wanted to get permission from my doctors to get pregnant.
Yeah, man.
And my GI doctor was like, let's wait 3 more months. I mean, he wanted me to be healthy and be in remission, which I completely understand. But it was kind of sad to be told, hey, let's just wait.
Right.
And then I had that flare up in December and had to wait a little longer. But then in March, I had my first colonoscopy since I got diagnosed. And everything looked really good. My doctor said my Crohn's was in remission, and that we could start trying to have a baby. And it really didn't take that long, and now I'm pregnant.
That's awesome. How far along are you?
9 weeks.
Oh, man.
So very early still.
You sick? Do you have morning sickness from it?
I am nauseous. There was a week where I was like nauseous all the time. Now it just kind of comes and goes. I cannot think, see, or smell ground beef. Like, that is completely gross to me right now.
Will you eat it?
No, I have not touched it.
Okay, wow.
Someone had a stuffed pepper.
You live in Kansas, right?
I know.
Okay.
We have a freezer full of it.
That's all John's wanting to eat all the time.
Yes. Someone had it in the break room at work, and she cut open her stuffed pepper, and it just came spilling out, and I almost lost it there.
Oh, man. My wife's the same way when it comes to certain things. When she's pregnant, she gets crazy. Man. So the nausea comes and goes. You haven't had much Crohn's issues, just the normal deal. Are you still taking Humira normal?
Yes. I'm going to continue Humira until my last 4 weeks of pregnancy.
So I get Remicade. Remicade's an IV infusion. I get that every 6 weeks. It takes about 3 hours. I go to the hospital and do it. How's Humira work?
Humira is an injection you give yourself.
Yeah.
Either on your thighs or your stomach. Okay. And I do it every other week.
Okay. Do you have any side effects from that at all?
The only side effect that I've had was when I used to do it on my thighs.
Yeah.
One of my thighs at the injection site the skin would raise and be red. So my doctor was like, let's just not do your thighs anymore. Let's just do it on your stomach, and that's been fine.
And they just went away. That was the only problem you had.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked up just out of curiosity, what the side effects could possibly be for Humira?
Oh yeah,
what are they?
They provide it to you all the time.
I know, like, I'm trying to remember the commercial.
Headaches.
If I could regurgitate it to you.
Right? Headaches, cancer. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
But you aren't getting headaches or any of that kind of stuff.
I saw maybe an increase in like random headaches that I would get once I started Humira, but nothing that affects me anymore. I really like my Humira. I've done really well with it.
When you get close to your next injection, do you start noticing your need for it? Symptoms coming back?
When I first started taking Humira, yes.
Okay.
Like, it was, I need my injection. Yeah. That's going to help me feel better. And a few days before, I would start feeling kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say so. Not that I've noticed.
Okay. I don't notice at all with Remicade how the drug does it, really at all. I can notice a little bit in regards to just some issues that I have with recurring coming and going fistulas, those kind of, but it's hit and miss. It's kind of like sometimes things bother my stomach and sometimes they don't, and you just kind of never know what that day's gonna hold. Something could be a couple days, like a day old, or I don't know. There could be anything, but that's kind of how it is with me. But so, did you try and reach out to like the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation or anything else in regards to this stuff? I know your half marathon was with them and you raised some money. How was all that? How was dealing with that on a local level, or what are your thoughts with any of that, if any?
I'm really glad that I did it.
Yeah.
I probably won't do it again.
You won't run again?
I won't raise money for
in that way.
Okay. For Team Challenge again.
Yeah.
I wanted a experience that was more intimate than the one that I got. I joined the national team because there was no Kansas team, there was no Iowa team, there was no Missouri, Oklahoma. I mean, the closest team was Denver. And so the national team, you met through a webinar basis once a week. And when I had my flare up, I was like almost in tears, telling my teammates and my coach that I have this flare up. How do you guys deal with it? Help me, like, what do you guys do? I just kind of want some advice.
Yeah.
And she immediately said, we'll just bump you down to a 5K, which broke my heart.
Yeah.
You don't just tell me.
Of all people, you're kind of hoping to have them be the most empathetic, and what you got was worse than what you get from the rest of the people you deal with.
She was very nice.
Yeah.
She was trying to be understanding of, well, don't worry about running. We can just bump you down.
Yeah.
But that was in the beginning of December, and that race wasn't until February. Yeah. So let's not already jump down to that.
Yeah.
I wanted, hey, I don't have Crohn's, but I have worked for the foundation for 9 years. I have met so many people with this disease. Let me reach out to one of them, and maybe they can give you some advice. Yeah. And that's not what I got. She didn't even call up to see how I was doing.
It's kind of like you were complaining your way to hopefully get a less... That's interesting.
So it really was really disappointing, and that really upsetted me. But when I did Team Challenge, that weekend was really nice. And I did meet some people that it was really nice to get to talk to right before the race. I was speaking with 2 other ladies, and we were just kind of telling stories back and forth and our experiences, and that is exactly what I wanted out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen till right before the race, and then both of those ladies had flights that day after the race, so I couldn't spend more time with them after that. I've done Take Steps with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. That was really nice too. I raised money for that, but it was show up, let's walk around the zoo. They had some nice talks, and that was that. I wanted more interaction. I wanted to meet people. They have a support group, but it's in Overland Park, which is 2.5 hours away. I can't make that happen. So I wish that there was something here in Wichita.
Well, let's do it.
I agree.
Let's do it.
I want to do it.
Team Wichita, not even Team Kansas. Team Wichita. Shoot, we just had a guy at our parish who was just diagnosed. I mean, I'm finding more and more people. I was at the wound and ostomy care clinic today, and the nurse there was telling me that she was wanting to start doing a twice a year get together where there was something like that for all these people that are doing this, where they can kind of show up. The idea was that they could just show up and be support for each other and make friends with each other, kind of a thing. But that's kind of what's lacking. That's
exactly what I would like. And I like you and I, like we've been talking about, have maybe different things that bring on our symptoms, but that's okay. We can still talk about it and share and understand what we are going through, and it would just be nice to have more of a community that way, especially when there's so many Americans who are diagnosed with Crohn's, that there has to be more than just me in Wichita.
Well, if the way we've been doing it isn't finding us a cure, if the way we've been doing this hasn't been working, then I think why not? Why not let these conversations begin? See if we can't find some commonality in this that then begins to allow other conversations to happen, where we're at least trying to communicate, talk these things through, and find solutions, rather than constantly always trying to remedy symptoms. Like, that's all it's a pursuit of, rather than managing an illness for lifelong bearers of it. Yeah, man.
Now, I will say that the money that I did raise for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, $3,600, and 100% of that goes back to the foundation for research. They have Camp Oasis, which is awesome. Kids that have Crohn's or colitis can go to this camp and learn more about their disease, and also other people who have the disease.
Would you ever go do that?
I didn't,
because be a mentor or something for it
I didn't even think about that as an option.
I was thinking that a few weeks ago. I was like, I just saw an email come across my inbox, and I was like, maybe that'd be kind of cool to go and be a mentor person to kind of help set it up and put it on and talk with those kids. That'd be
that would be nice.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah,
let's look
I
into
agree.
It. Well, do you have? So I usually always ask just because, but do you have any motivational lines, anything that you kind of mantras that you love to kind of repeat to yourself or that stand out to you? Are you a big fan? Do you listen to anything like that in regards to whether it's podcasts or talks or?
I do have something that I say to myself, and it might sound kind of weird, but
don't weird us out.
It's all going to be over soon.
Yeah.
So, and you could take that to mean a lot of different ways. Like when I'm nervous to go give a presentation, well, it's going to be over soon. Don't fuss about it. It will be done in a few hours. Like it will be over soon. Or you could take it, more broadly and say we don't know what time we have on this earth, so let's make the best of it right now. So I kind of, when I feel anxious or nervous. I don't know. That's one thing that I do say to myself. And that might sound weird, but...
No, that's exactly right. Every time I've ever given a talk, because I hate giving talks, I could do this all day, just having a conversation, but preparing something and going and talking at people, it's inauthentic to me. I just struggle with it. I get intimidated and insecure or whatever it may be, and I freak out. And the only way I can get to it is once all that starts happening, I just have to go, all right, it's going to be over in a day and a half. In a day and a half, this whole thing's going to be done. I'm going to be on to the next thing, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I just got to get to there. So like coming into the podcast, I'm sitting here, my stomach's acting up, getting ready to do this deal. I'm just sitting there telling myself, okay, an hour's going to be over. It'll be over. And then you're going to be on with the rest of your life, and this will be nothing.
Exactly.
And you just kind of have to look at it like that. But then, like I'll tell my bride all the time, whenever I'm in the middle of a flare-up, it's like a couple of days that are just kicking my tail. I'll say to her, babe, one day it'll be over. I can take it. I can take it for the next 70 years. One day it'll be over.
Yeah.
It'll be over soon. And I'm okay with that.
And I'm actually really happy overall with my diagnosis.
Yeah.
Because I'm diagnosed.
Yeah.
I know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Those years where I didn't know what was going on and I had to guess, and I mean, I was bloated all the time, and I just thought that's how my body was, but my body was inflamed.
Isn't that annoying?
Yes. And when I got diagnosed and got the proper treatment and my inflammation went down, I remember saying, I forgot that this is normal.
Yeah.
I forgot that what I was feeling before, that wasn't right. That wasn't normal. This is normal.
Yeah. I usually get I get moments like that throughout, a couple of months period of time where I feel my back doesn't hurt. I'm not dealing with too much flare up. All my wounds and things are kind of chill. And I wake up and I just want to go. We have a list, and I'll go nonstop. As long as I'm feeling awesome, I'll just rock it out. And she'll just always be like, babe, slow down. I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to last, man. I just got to do it. Let's get this done. We got that to do and that to do. So what kind of music do you listen to? What are some of your favorite songs?
I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to Red Dirt Country.
What does that mean? So I've been hearing, what does the red dirt part of Red Dirt Country mean? Because I've been hearing that on either one of the stations. They just started saying it over the last year or two. But they kind of
It's music that comes from Oklahoma and Texas.
For real?
Yes. Like a different form of country.
Okay.
That's specifically from artists from those areas.
Okay. I figured it had to do with something like that, but... All right, so keep going. Sorry.
Shinedown is one of my favorite bands, so I like rock.
Okay. Yeah.
I like pop. I like everything.
Do you have any songs so if you like everything, do you have anything that kind of like motivates you, gets you revved up? It's kind of like something you can kind of turn on to get pumped up when you're
Music
down?
has always been such a stress reliever for me. That's a go-to. And it just depends on my mood. Like this week, I've been listening to The Killers.
Yeah.
So my
Red Dirt Country to The Killers. Okay.
Correct. So it's all over the place.
I'm the same way. Yeah. Like right now, just because of what we've been doing here and trying to work on and stuff, like I've been on an Eminem kick, and just because I've always felt like I can relate to that guy, or he relates to me, because he might have been from the hood. He might have been from 8 Mile Road or whatever it is. But when he expresses with that passion his anger and those deep-seated feelings and all that, it's like, to me, it's like a big gasp. It's like, yes, it's out kind of a thing. Kind of like I wish everything that was in me that I felt was out. Like I feel like he does a very good job at verbalizing that. And... anyways, well, awesome. That's very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming over and doing this. This is really cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and thanks, Stephany, for coming.